Commissioners, I was requested because the cases in KZN were dead, like as in there was no movement on these three political killings cases. So I was requested to do the comparison in order to resuscitate the investigation on these three political killings in KZN. And again, if I can add on that, the cases that were politically related, the three politically related cases that I needed to compare with the 27. There was a common firearm, or the type of firearm were similar, like it was an AK-47 that was used on these three cases. Also on the 27 cases, all 27 cases that are collected in Pretoria, the AK-47 was used on cases.
But it turned out these were different AK-47 rifles based on the fact that you could not establish any linkages.
That's correct, Commissioner. They were different AK-47s.
Captain, you then deal with the next comparative ballistics examination request. And this in particular are the three cases you outlined at the beginning. Can you take the commissioners through the request made?
Okay, before I could return the 27 case files to FSL in Silverton in Pretoria, I received a request letter on the 30th of December 2024 from the PKTT to conduct a comparative examination to compare Bramley case 149 of 424 with Bramley case 149 of 2024 and Santin case 398 of 11/2022, together with two Orlando cases, which are Orlando case 220 of 3/2022 and Orlando case 93 of 2023. In Bramley case 149, commissioners, there is a firearm that were confiscated from the suspect in possession of the suspect. And in Santin 398 of 11/2022, it was a matter of DJ somebody together with his two bodyguards. And Orlando case 220, it was a matter of DJ Vintos. And Orlando case 93 was the matter of Mr. Don Tilveni.
Captain, in terms of your procedures, you then accessed the files on your FSL system. What did you then discover there?
Okay, what I did, because I had to locate especially the Bramley case, I had to locate it because already Santin case and two Orlando cases were in my possession. I know that I have them. So I had to locate the Bramley case 149 for 2024. I then went into the system on the same date, the 30th of December. I checked on the FSL system. The FSL system, commissioners, is a centralized national system. So I used this system to locate this case file from Bramley. Upon accessing the system, commissioners, I noted that Bramley case 14904 was reflected twice on the system. There was a Bramley case 14904 2024 that was examined in Pretoria in ballistic Silverton. And there was another entry that was made in KZN where the the same entry reflected in KZN Amazing Total ballistic. So I established that the same firearms initially examined in Silverton ballistic were the same firearms that were examined in KZN, according to the system.
Thank you, Captain. Commissioners, you'll recall this is also the testimony of witness B, that initially they were taken for examination in Pretoria, and in September they were taken for re-examination in Amanzimtoti. This was also the evidence of Brigadier Mkabela yesterday, who confirmed the 2 entries. Captain, once you realized that there are 2 entries, what did you then do?
Okay, upon realizing that there was 2 entries of Bramley case 149, I requested the case file and spoke to Warrant Officer Kader, who was the politics analyst that analyzed the Bramley case in KZN. I went to him to inquire about this case. And paragraph 16, I spoke to Warrant Officer Kader about this case, because for me it was like bizarre why this case was examined in Pretoria and examined again in KZN. Warrant Officer Kader advised me that the IOs, or the investigating officers of Bramley matter, presented a letter signed by Major General Mbusu Kumalo, requesting that the firearms in the team's possession be re-examined in Amanzimtoti FSL ballistics by an independent analyst. So he said that the IOs were citing some irregularities in the initial test conducted by FSL Pretoria. So the request was discussed apparently with the management of the lab in Pretoria, and following the approval, the examination was conducted in KZN.
Thank you, Captain. At paragraph 17, you deal with then requesting the file from Warrant Officer Kader. Can you take the commissioners through that and then what you then did with the file once you've obtained it?
I then requested the commissioners the case from Warrant Officer Kader on the same day, and he gave it to me. And why didn't I request the Bramley case from Pretoria? Is because I saw that the same exhibits that were examined in KZN were the same ones that were examined in Pretoria. So I opened these 3 cases together with the Bramley case and started to do my comparison, Commissioner. And Commissioners, as ballistics, we do not do anything outside the request, as per the request letter, Commissioners, because we do not do anything outside the request, as per the request letter, Commissioners, because if we do anything out of the request letter, we may be seen as biased and having some interest in the case. So we do as the request is saying. So paragraph 18, I deal with, and then I requested and received the Bramley case from Warrant Officer Kader on the 30th of December 2024. And I then opened these three Pretoria matters together with the Bramley case and started to do my examination to compare if there's any possible link between these cases. Commissioners, importantly, analysts work strictly within the scope of the written request, as I said. And we undertake tests beyond that mandate may compromise impartiality and create perception of bias. So if we do something that is not on the request letter, we might be seen as biased or having an interest in the case. So paragraph 19, I don't know if I must continue, Commissioners.
Yes, Captain. Before you continue, you're about to go into what you then found. For ease, I'm going to ask that the commissioners also open the 212 affidavit so that you can then explain to them the process that you undertook in the examination.
Okay. If I continue on my annexure A from paragraph 4. Paragraph 4, it says, on the 30th of December 2024, during the performance of my official duties, I found in the case file marked with that lab number 598202/2022, which is something 398, I received 2 intact sealed evidence bags marked inter alia something case 398 of 11, 2022 B3 and B5, and I opened the bags and found the following. Basically, here what happens, Commissioners, each and every evidence or each and every case file contains evidence bags with exhibits inside. So I would open the sealed bag to retrieve the exhibits inside that sealed bag. And this is what happened here in this Santin case where DJ somebody was killed. So paragraph 4.1 shows the cartridge cases, which were 18 7.62 by 39 caliber cartridge cases, fired cartridge cases, which were marked with those numbers, Commissioners. And 4.1.2, it was the sealed bag was also containing 29 7.62 by 39 fired cartridge cases, which I marked with those numbers. And further down, 4.1.3, I received 2 9mm parabellum fired cartridge cases, which were marked 056 TC2 and 285 TC2. And 4.1.1, it was 4 9mm test fired bullets marked with those numbers. 4.1.5, there was 9 undetermined caliber fired bullet jackets, which were marked with those numbers. And 4.1.6, it was 6 undetermined fired bullets, cores, which were marked with those numbers. And 4.1.7, it was 1 undetermined caliber fired bullets, marked C1. And the next sealed bag with that serial number contained 4.2.1, 7.62 millimeter, 7.62 by 39 millimeter caliber fired cartridge cases, and 4.2.2, 9 millimeter parabellum caliber test fired cartridge cases. That's the exhibits. Those exhibits, all of those exhibits were in the case of Santin 398, where DJ somebody and the 2 bodyguards were killed. So paragraph 5, Commissioners, it deals with Orlando case 93 of 2, where 93 of 2 is where Mr. Donaldin Glennie was murdered. So paragraph 5.1, it says 21 7.62 by 39 caliber fired cartridge cases, which were also marked individually. 5.2, one possibly 7.62 fired bullet jacket. 5.3, one undetermined caliber fired bullet jacket. 5.42, 7.62 tungsten cores. 5.5, one undetermined fragment. And 5.6, one 9mm parabellum test-fired cartridge case, and 5.7, two 9mm test-fired bullets. And paragraph 6, Commissioners, deals with Orlando 220 of 3, 2022, where DJ Vintos was met. In that bag, Commissioners, 6.1, it was 7.62 by 39mm caliber fired cartridge case, a 9mm parabellum caliber fired cartridge case, and 6.3, two undetermined caliber fired bullet jacket. And paragraph 7 now deals with the test exhibits that were fired by Warrant Officer Kader from the firearms that were confiscated from the suspects on Bramley case 149. So the tests,
Captain,
are reflected on paragraph.
You need not go into all of the different exhibits. Can you explain why it is important for an analyst to go through all of these and list them in the affidavit as you have?
Okay, the analyst, because now he will be opening the bags with different specimens inside. The analyst needs to identify each and every exhibit that is contained in that specific bag, together with its markings, because the markings are individually explaining this type of exhibit. So each and every exhibit has to be noted because the comparison doesn't say compare only the bullets or compare only the cartridge cases. So all the exhibits in each and every bag that analyst is going to open, it has to be analyzed under the microscope, because the request says compare the cases, the KBs, meaning you will compare all the exhibits that are inside these bags. So it is important to note all of these exhibits one by one in the report.
Good morning, Captain. It's Commissioner Khumalo here. In paragraph 7, in particular 7.1.1 and 7.2.1, can you just confirm that those test cartridges are AK-47 cartridges? 7.1.
Okay, Commissioners, 7.1.1, it's a test fired cartridge case of an AK-47.
Yes. And 7.2.1?
Then 7.1.2, it's a test fired cartridge case of a 9mm parabellum caliber or firearm.
No, Captain, I asked about 7.2.1, not 7.1.2.
Oh, that's correct, Commissioner, yes. They are both cartridge cases of a an AK-47 rifle, Commissioners.
Yes, and the reason I'm asking you that is because the evidence we have heard in this commission is that 15 test cartridges were recovered at Bramley in respect of the AK-47 that was found there. So I just wanted to know why you only got hold of 2 of them and not 15. Am I misunderstanding something?
Yes, Commissioner, if I may just explain there. Because the 15 cartridge cases of an AK-47 were firstly analyzed in Silverton, Pretoria. After the analyst have concluded his analysis, the only thing or the only exhibits that he will dispose of to the station will be the rifles or the exhibit firearms. So the 15 cartridge cases, I did not receive them because I did not deal with the Bramley case in Pretoria. I dealt with the Bramley case in KZN. So when the exhibits firearms were delivered to KZN, they were not delivered together with the 15 cartridge cases of an AK-47. So these 15 cartridge cases were filed in the case file that was analyzed by an analyst in in Pretoria, not KZN. So here I was just dealing with the test fired cartridge cases, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. You'll recall also that witness B explained that after they get the report, they only get the weapons. So it's the weapons that were then taken to KZN for further re-examination. And then just for identification of the types of cartridges that are examined, you'll see if it has a TC in it, it's a test cartridge, not the ones that are recovered on the scene. Captain Mudisani, can you confirm the correctness of, at the very least, the identification of cartridges?
I do confirm the correctness of these exhibits, Commissioners, and what I've outlined.
Captain, you then at paragraph 8 explain that you conduct a microscopic individualization of fired cartridges cases and fired bullets. Can you explain that in layman's terms, what you mean in that statement?
Isn't it paragraph 9? I think it's paragraph 9.
It would be paragraph 8 at the very bottom of your statement.
Okay, here it's just the intention and the scope, what I was required to do, paragraph 8. So I was required to microscopically individualize the fired cartridge cases and the fired bullets, meaning I was going to compare the fired cartridge cases and the fired bullets. That is according to the request that I've received, to say compare. I was not doing a full examination from the scratch.
Thank you, Captain. And then you deal with the results or your findings. Can you explain these to the Commission?
Okay, the findings on paragraph 9, Commissioners. As ballistics experts, when we're doing comparison, we compare the individual and class characteristics. It's the markings the class and individual characteristics is the markings that were transferred by the firearm components onto the cartridge cases and onto the bullets during the firing process. So there will be those characteristics that we are looking for on each and every specimen under the microscope to determine the common origin of these specimens. So the microscope assists us to view those tiny marks which a naked eye cannot be able to see. And we use this instrument to come to a conclusion whether there's a specific cartridge case or a specific bullet was fired or was not fired from a specific bullet, firearm, commissioners. So in paragraph 9, it's my first findings, which says the cartridge cases mentioned in 4.1.1, 4.2.1. This 4.1.1 and 4.2.1 are the exhibits that I retrieved or that I found in the Santin case 398 of 11/2022, a matter of DJ Somebody, 4.1.1 and 4.2.1. 5.1 is the exhibits that I found in Orlando case 93 of 2023, where Mr. Don Tindleni was murdered. And 6.1 were the exhibits that I retrieved or I found in the case file in the Silbeck under Orlando 220 of 3/2022, where Mr. DJ's Vintos was murdered. And 7.1.1 and 7.2.1, those are the test cartridge cases that I found inside the Silbeck in the case of Bramley 149 of 4/2024. So all these exhibits that I've mentioned, the ones in 4.1.1, 4.2.1, 5.1, 6.1, 7.1.1, and 7.2.1, I found that these cartridge cases were fired in the same firearm. So they bear common origin. This specific firearm that I'm referring to, it's a 7.62 by 39 millimeter caliber Russian Kalashnikov model AK-47, full automatic assault rifle with a serial number 575363. That AK-47, commissioners, is the same AK-47 that was found in the suspects that were arrested in Bramley case 149 of 4/2024. This is the same firearm, commissioners, that murdered DJ Somebody and DJ Vintos and Mr. Don Tindleni. I may continue.
Yes, Captain. Can you then deal with your findings at 9.2?
Okay. In paragraph 9.2, commissioners, I further analyzed the 9mm parabellum cartridge cases that were found in the crime scene of DJ Vintos. This is paragraph 6.2. Is the exhibits that were found in the crime scene of DJ Vintos. And I was comparing them with the test cartridge cases in 7.1.1, 7.1.2 rather, and 7.2.2. And I found that these cartridge cases were fired from a common firearm. This firearm, commissioners, is a 9mm parabellum caliber Taurus, model PT92FS. It is a semi-automatic pistol with a serial number which was obliterated. And this firearm was marked 193045/24. And which later the serial number of this specific firearm was retrieved. And it reads as follows: TKS 21211. If I repeat it, TKS 211, which was retrieved during the etching process. And this
Is that the one
serial
that,
number,
sorry. Is that the one that was received by, I forget his rank now, Kader?
that is the same firearm that was accompanying the AK-47, which were received by Warrant Officer Keda in ballistics Amanzi Mutoti.
Yeah, I'm referring to the what's the verb you use? Is it retrieval of the serial number? I forget the verb you use now.
Etching.
Is the etching to find the serial number that has been obliterated? That's the verb
That's
I'm
correct,
looking for.
Commissioner.
Yes. So is it the one that through hatching was found by or established by Warrant Officer Kader or Kader?
That's correct, Commissioner. This is the same number that was retrieved by Warrant Officer Keda during the etching process.
Retrieved is the verb I was looking for.
Is this firearm that you're describing now, is it the same one that the analyst in Pretoria had recorded that he could not restore the serial number?
That's correct, Commissioners. It's the same firearm, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Just to note that in paragraph 9.3, you note the bullets or bullet jackets that where you could not make a positive determination.
That's correct, Commissioners, because they were damaged. I couldn't make any link to see if whether they were fired from the specific AK-47.
What does it mean that they are damaged? Is it they are damaged at the point of being fired or at the point of being tested?
At the point when they were fired, Commissioners, because this firearm is a high caliber firearm. When the bullet meets the target, it disintegrates or it fragments into smaller pieces, whereby the marks of those exhibits are compromised.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. You then explain what happens after the examination at paragraph 11. Can you briefly tell the commissioners about this process?
Okay, paragraph 11, Commissioners, it deals with the disposals of these exhibits. Because now the examination or the linkage have been completed, the examination have been completed. Now I have to dispose all the exhibits into their different case files. This process entails putting each and every exhibit inside the new seal bag, and I seal that seal bag, and I will complete an integrity form to show that these exhibits or the previous exhibit bag was opened by me, and I then close it on the new seal bag. So paragraph 11, it's all the exhibits. Okay, there was an exhibit that required me to take it to the IB section of the ballistics. So I sealed that specific exhibit, which was marked 1A32. It was somehow missed to be taken to IBIS. And I then sealed this exhibit. It's an AK-47 cartridge case, which was in Santin case 398. It was missed to be loaded into the system. And I sealed it in the new bag, and I marked it for IBIS. And paragraph 11.2 deals with all other exhibits of Santin case, which I sealed them in that seal bag number that reads PA6500 555 and filed these exhibits in the Santin case file. And paragraph 11.3 deals with the exhibits that I opened from Orlando case 93 of 2023. I sealed all those exhibits in a new seal bag which reads PA6500 555 465. And paragraph 11 deals with the exhibits that I opened on Orlando 220 of 3/2022. All those exhibits, I sealed them in a seal bag with serial number PA6500 555 469. So each and every seal bag that I closed, I attached to each specific case file. And paragraph 11.4 deals with the tests that were fired by Warrant Officer Keda under Bramley case 149 of 2024. And I sealed them in the seal bag with PA6500 555 484. And I also, like others, I attached this seal bag in a Bramley case file.
Thank you, Captain. Commissioners, this would deal with paragraphs 21 to 24 of the statement.
Captain, can we just clarify paragraph 20 of your statement? The firearms referred to in paragraph 20 of your statement, are they the Kalashnikov in your affidavit in paragraph 9.1 and the 9mm parabellum in paragraph 9.2? Are those the firearms you're referring to in paragraph 20 of your statement?
That's correct, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we can then turn to paragraph 25 of your statement. There, Captain, you deal with the process of restoring the serial number that Warrant Officer Keda undertook. Can you explain this process in simple terms to the commissioners?
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. In simple terms, Commissioners, because I don't want to go into what I've outlined in my statement, because I might expose our doings or our processes to the public out there. In simple terms, Commissioners, one would receive, or an analyst will receive a firearm with the serial number obliterated. So now, to retrieve the serial number, there is a process. We've got two processes that we undertake on that specific firearm to try and get the serial number. We've got magnetic etching process. We call it electromagnetic etching process. And we've got an acid etching process. Those are two processes that we utilize in ballistics to retrieve the serial number. So the serial number, during attempt to retrieve it, we've got a process. We need to undertake a process of preparing the surface where the serial number has been obliterated, or the area where the serial number was originally stamped on. We prepare the surface and apply certain chemicals on that surface to let the serial number to be visible. And during that process of applying the chemicals, when the number comes up, we note it. We note it on the piece of paper to say this is a type of a serial, or this is the number that is appearing on that area where the serial number. It could be numeric digits or alphabets, because some firearms contain alphabets and some firearms serial number contains numbers. So some firearms is a combination of both. So after retrieving the serial number, after application of such chemicals, the serial number comes up. Then the analyst will call a more qualified person or who did the etching or who is competent on etching to confirm what he is seeing on this process. Then when they agree on this, what they are seeing, then it is confirmed by the person, the next person, to say, we saw the same number. Then that number is recorded onto the proforma and then eventually recorded on the 212 report. That's basically what etching is all about. There's a process that we apply on the firearm, or that we conduct on the firearm to retrieve the number.
Captain, at paragraph 25.4, you deal with Captain Mohlahlana's findings in relation to this. Can you elaborate more on this point?
Okay, I during our conversation with Warrant Officer Keita, he explained to me that there's a firearm which the serial number was obliterated, and that firearm, according to him, it was also an attempt was made to retrieve the serial number by Captain Mohlahlana in Pretoria. That firearm was a 9mm that I spoke about on my Annexure A. So this firearm, when he etched it, when he applied the etching process, Warrant Officer Keita retrieved the serial number successfully and recovered the serial number, which is TKS 21211.
And Captain, based on your experience, did Warrant Officer Keita do anything that was particularly difficult or elaborate in order to establish this?
Commissioners, there are a couple of factors that can influence the person not to be able to retrieve the serial number. They include the training that the member received, specifically on the etching process. They include a person who is not willing to go extra mile, or who doesn't do more, who couldn't do more to try and retrieve the serial number. The other factors could be the chemicals that we are using. Maybe somehow, if the chemicals also are expired, or there can be a difficulty on getting the serial number. The other factor could be, or maybe the person deliberately omitting to do his job. Those are factors. One of those factors could have influenced the person not to retrieve the serial number.
Captain, when you do the restoration, the serial number restoration, what are the protocols that apply, especially if you you return a negative result, such as Captain Mohlahlana did, what do the protocols prescribe must happen?
Okay, commissioners, the protocols that we apply in the lab or that we have in the lab is that after applying these etching processes, whether you have found the number, retrieved the number or not, there must be another person who comes and confirm your results. So that is the only process that we undertake. So there's no any other process that we apply if the person didn't find the serial number.
Thank you.
And Captain, given that Warrant Officer Kader would be doing this process on the same firearm that Captain Mohlahlana would have worked on, does that raise additional difficulties?
That's correct, commissioners. It will, because now this firearm has been attempted the serial number of this firearm has been attempted to be retrieved. The analyst who worked on the firearm basically tampered with the surface, because maybe I will use another word, not tampered. He was attempting to retrieve the serial number. That means he has done some sanding of the surface, meaning he prepared the surface, and then he couldn't retrieve the serial number. Now, it will be difficult for the next person. I would expect the next person to have a tough time or a difficulty to be able to find the serial number, because him or herself needs also to prepare the surface again, to clean it and to prepare it for him to now apply those chemicals. So it is advantageous for the first person the first person is on an advantageous position than the next person, because the next person will be working on the surface that has been already worked on. So Warrant Officer Kader was, but apart from what all this happening, Warrant Officer was able to retrieve the serial number on that firearm, the specific firearm. But especially if somebody have worked on the firearm with regard to the etching process, and the next person has to work on it again, it might pose serious problems. But Warrant Officer Kader was able to retrieve the serial number.
Captain, what is the importance of the serial number? And if you're unable to retrieve it, what is the consequence on the case, if any at all?
The importance of the serial number, commissioners, it shows the identity of the firearm. The same applies to the engine number of a vehicle. It shows the identity of the firearm. It shows the history of the firearm. Who is the original owner of the firearm? It will show that. It will also show that if the firearm was robbed from the owner would have opened the case. If the owner was murdered, the case could have been opened. So that serial number, if we retrieve it and we give it to the investigating officers to check on the system, it will show the history, who does the firearm originally belong to, and how was it taken from the lawful owner, whether the lawful owner was killed, whether the lawful owner was robbed, or there was a house breaking and the firearm was taken. So the serial number is very much important. It shows the identity of the firearm. If we don't have the serial number on the firearm, that firearm doesn't have identity.
Thank you.
And Captain, on this score, if the firearm was ever seized at any point by the police and somehow ended up in the street, this process would also be able to discover that?
That's correct, Commissioners. If it was recovered by the police with the serial number, when the police recover it firstly with the serial number, and it happens that it goes out to the street, and the serial number is then obliterated. When we retrieve this serial number, it will show that this weapon was first or was once in the police hands, or it was retrieved by the police. Even if it doesn't have the serial number, the police will find it in the streets in possession of the suspect. That firearm would have been sent to ballistics, and then a ballistics expert will engrave it with the lab number. We engrave the serial number or the lab number on the firearms where the serial number was obliterated. So that engraving will act as a serial number on that firearm. So if it goes from the station to the street and it gets found on the suspect, then we can identify it with an engraving on it.
Thank you, Captain. The comparative ballistic examination that you performed, and you deal with it in paragraphs 21 to 20 of your statement. Do you know if it was also performed in Silverton? So that is before you came in and you were asked to do it. Do you know if national headquarters performed the same exercise before you were brought in to do it?
Commissioners, which comparative examination is it?
The one in paragraph 11 of your statement, the one where you compare the Bramley case with 3 other cases, and you reach your conclusion in paragraph 20 of your statement. And you say during the examination you performed, you determined a link between the firearm used in Bramley and the firearm used in the murders of DJ Somebody, Don Tindleni, and Hector Buthelezi. So do you know if that examination was performed in Silverton before you were brought in to perform it?
No, Commissioners, it was not done in Silverton. I'm the first person to do this comparative examination on the firearms against the murder of DJ Somebody, the murder of DJ Vintos, and Mr. Duncan Tindleni. So the examination that I did was not done in Pretoria because there was no request that was forwarded. This was the first request that was forwarded, and I came to attend to this request.
Does that not bother you, Captain? Because these are all Gauteng cases. The fact that you have to be brought in from KZN or from the PKTT to come and perform examinations in relation to murders that took place in Gauteng. What are the people in Gauteng doing then?
In this regard, Commissioners, there was a direct request that was forwarded to me. I would assume that if the same request maybe was forwarded to Gauteng, they would have done it, Commissioners. Because it was not a ballistic IBIS link, it was a request. Maybe it was if it was captured, or if it was noticed during in the IBIS as a link, they would have done it. So it was a direct request from the investigating officers based on their investigation. I think they had a suspicion that these cases are possibly linking. That's why maybe they forwarded the request to me to do the comparison examination, commissioners.
Yeah. But it bothers me that the same request was not given.
Of the examination by the investigating officers, there were suspicions of how can I put it, of not of the Pretoria, of the integrity of the Pretoria lab. Maybe that's why they sent it to us, not to them, to do the comparison, because they also took the firearms to KZN after being analyzed in Pretoria. So they had those suspicions according to the request letter that the warrant officer Keda received. I think it's based on that. That's why they wanted a person who is not in Gauteng to do this comparative examination.
Captain, I find it strange that you say no request was made to establish if there were any linkages. I say it is strange because the investigating officers have told us that they were told, I'm not sure now whether verbally, by Captain Mohlahlana, that there were linkages, but that when they received the report, it did not have or reflect any linkages. So what I find strange is that Captain Mohlahlana would have spoken to them about linkages when no request for linkages had been made. Do you want to comment on that?
If I may comment on that, commissioners, if indeed they received that information from Captain Mohlahlana, to me it suggests that somehow Captain Mohlahlana maybe might have had something from someone that these firearms are linked to other cases. And indeed, if that's the case, I really don't know. It's very hard for me to digest it, but that means all along, maybe I would say Captain Mohlahlana knew that these firearms from Bramley are possibly linked to other cases. Which other cases I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know which other cases. But if indeed he told the investigating officers so, I would expect him to have been able to link those firearms or those exhibits and supply the correct report. But anyway, like I said, commissioners, one wouldn't go and do something out of his own will as a ballistics expert. We have to be directed because we might be seen as biased. So, but the information that he gave to the investigating officers was crucial, was very crucial, and that means there was some communication between him and them. I would expect them to continue and ask questions with regard to what Captain Mohlahlana is saying.
I must say I like your repeated use of if, because indeed we are yet to hear from Captain Mohlahlana if he will be called. Thank you, Captain.
Just one more thing, Captain. How long did it take you to perform this exercise? Because it looks from paragraph 11 like you received the request on the 30th of December 2024, And then in paragraph 24 of your statement, you say, your report of 30 December 2024 is attached as Annexure A. Does that mean the whole exercise took only a day to perform and to complete?
Only a day. It took only a day, Commissioners.
Yeah. You know why this?
In PKTT we had a motivating factor. I don't know where we were taking it. We worked on the case until we finish it. If there is a positive feedback that we are seeing on the examination, we will work until it's late. So, and looking at the number of the exhibits that are received on the 4 cases, it's not lots of exhibits. We are dealing with lots of exhibits on other cases, which can take you more than 1 day. But these ones didn't warrant me to take more than 2 days or more. So I finished this examination in 1 day, Commissioners.
And is that unique to the PKTT? You've just said something important, that in the PKTT, you don't stop until you are finished. Is that unique to the PKTT, or is it something that is ingrained within the subs, especially the ballistics division as a whole?
This was unique to the PKT. It was unique. Our turnaround time, our normal turnaround time in ballistics analysis, our normal working turnaround time, is 30 days, if I'm not mistaken, to finish the case. Our turnaround time, we made our own turnaround time in the PKTT as ballistics to 3 days, Commissioners, maximum 3 days. So this case, it's based on my experience also, Commissioners.
Just
it's a small case. It's a small case to me.
Just to
finish in a day.
All right. Sorry, Captain. Just to make sure there's no confusion, you said our normal turnaround time is 30 days. And who's the hour in relation to the 30 days?
Ballistics turnaround time, Commissioner. As soon as the case arrives at the lab.
I just want to know, Captain, I just want to know who you are referring to when you say hour. Are you referring to Silverton, Manzimtoti, Rebecha, and the Western Cape? I don't know whether it's Cape Town. Is that the hour that you're referring to? Whose hour?
It's the whole lab in general, whether KZN, whether Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Pretoria. Ballistics turnaround time case, as soon as it arrives at the lab,
all right,
it needed to be finalized in 30 days.
Okay.
But
and
due to backlog, that doesn't happen.
Okay. And then you are comparing that to an average of 3 days within the PKTT. So it's 30 against 3. 30 against 3.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Thank
that
you.
Is the turnaround time that we set for ourselves in the PKTT.
Thank you. In fact, I should not even say average. Maybe I should say 3 days would be the outer limit. And you say there are some that you could complete within a much, much shorter time, like this one, which was within a day.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Captain, just to go back to the protocols and the restoration process that you have described. Now, in Captain Makotwe's Section 212 affidavit, he does state that he was unable to restore the serial number. Now, you've told us, and we've also heard from the Brigadier yesterday, that a second person would have another look, whether it's a positive or negative response, and you've just confirmed that. Would the conclusion of the second person who looks at the initial outcome, would that be contained in the Section 212 affidavit of the original analyst?
No, Commissioners, it wouldn't reflect on the Section 212 report, but it will reflect on the worksheet that the member has completed after examination. So the confirmer will sign on the worksheet that will be attached on the case file to say, I Captain Modisani, confirm that a warrant officer so-so or Captain so-so retrieved or did not retrieve the serial number. Then I sign on that specific pro forma. So the confirmer will sign on the pro forma.
Yes, and if there's no confirmer or verifier, am I correct to say then it means that protocol, the prescribed protocol was not followed if there was no verifier?
That's correct, Commissioners.
Thank you.
It's a protocol that needs to be abided by, to be applied or to be followed when doing this examination. Anyway, the reviewer of the case, after the examination or the analysis has been completed, the reviewer of the case will pick it up that this case was not confirmed or there's no signature of a confirmer of the etching process of this, and the case file will be returned to be corrected.
All right. That is, if the reviewer does their job properly, then they would also have picked up and they would return the docket or the case file.
That's correct.
That's correct. Thank you.
Commissioners, just to note on the etching process, we have followed up with the witnesses A, B, and C to provide us with a supplementary dealing with their findings when they took the serial number discovered by Warrant Officer Kader. They noted that the weapons were previously recovered by police, but were not entered into SAP 13, which is the administrative process. So we have asked for an affidavit in that regard. Captain, just for completeness, your 212 affidavit, was that then reviewed accordingly before you shared it with the investigating officers that made the request?
That's correct, Commissioners. Each and every report has to be reviewed before it gets out of the lab. So the reviewer would have done the review to check the correctness of the report. The reviewer, Commissioners, if I may also state, does not change anything on the report or the results that the analyst has done or has noted on the report. All what the reviewer checks is the mistakes, the errors, the spelling. If all the protocols were observed, if all the proformas were filled according to the protocols. So before that the report can go out, the review processes has to be undertaken to check the correctness of the report, whether the spellings are okay, whether the grammar is okay, whether the report was signed. Then it will be dispatched to the investigators.
And Captain, after you gave it to the investigators, it is also loaded onto one of your systems?
That's correct, Commissioners. We've got an ICDMS system that we, after completion of the report, it gets to be loaded onto the ICDMS system. This ICDMS system assists the investigators to retrieve the report from the system while they are at their respective working areas in the station. The investigator will go into the system and punch in the serial, the case number, and the system will allow him to print this report. It's only the investigating officer who can access a specific report for a specific case, because he will be assigned to that specific case. So any other person who's not an investigator of the case will have a challenge in retrieving the report from the ICDMS system.
Thank you, Captain. So this report was loaded onto the ICDMS system on the 30th.
Even if it could be after the 30th. It could be after the 30th.
Thank you, Captain. Captain, unless there are questions from the commissioners, that concludes the testimony of Captain Mohlahlana.
Thank you very much, Captain. Let us adjourn and resume at 11:15.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right, these are live visuals we're beaming to you from the Bridget Mabanda Justice College. Captain Solomon Mohlahlana is an investigator in the ballistic unit of the SAPS and has wrapped up his testimony.
Understand what exactly was happening. And during his investigation then, he says it took him one day to compare ballistics, and he was able to link the gun used in the Aman Swat murder to that of DJ Somebody, DJ Vintos, and Don Tindleni. All those murders, he says, he was able to make that link within just a single day. It does, however, he does also say that he was bothered by the fact that some of these tests were not done in Pretoria as would have been expected. So he has now concluded his evidence. So we're going to then take you to the latest news update.
Thank you, Cathy. On the top stories, senior forensic analyst links Molefe to murder of DJ Somebody, and Trump meets Japan's first female prime minister. For SAFM News, I am Ondalambana, and a very good morning. The AK-47 rifle that was found in possession of murder-accused Cathy Mohlahlana and warrant of police officer who led Tao in Bramley after Vereeniging engineer Aman Swat was gunned down has been linked to the murders of DJ Somebody, DJ Vintos and Don Tindleni. This is according to senior forensic analyst Captain Solomon Mohlahlana, who is testifying at the Madlanga Commission. Mohlahlana works with ballistic forensics attached to the political killings task team in KwaZulu-Natal.
That AK-47, commissioners, is the same AK-47 that was found in the suspects that were arrested in Bramley case 149 of 4/2020. This is the same firearm, commissioners, that murdered DJ Somebody and DJ Vintos and Mr. Don Tindleni.
The Pan-African Bar Association has cautioned against the calls for acting Judge President of the Gauteng High Court, Aubrey Lidwaba, to be suspended. Last week, witness A at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry testified that he heard from an informer that an amount of 2.5 million rand was paid to secure a bail of alleged underworld kingpin Cathy Mohlahlana. Witness A did, however, say that he was not sure if the money was for Lidwaba or the prosecutor. The Office of the Chief Justice and said Lidwaba has denied receiving any money to grant Mohlahlana bail and has said that he will not take special leave due to the allegations leveled against him. Pabasa Secretary Advocate Dali Mpofu says a judge cannot be placed on leave of absence. It has to be done voluntarily.
The suspension of a judge is something that is heavily, for obvious reasons, heavily by the Constitution itself and also by the JSC Act. So what happens is that a suspension of a judge cannot be done by the Chief Justice. It can only be done by the President. But the President himself must only act on advice of the JSC when a judge is a subject of impeachment proceedings, to paraphrase Section 173 of the Constitution.
Nelson Mandela University has confirmed that the death of a third-year National Diploma Logistics student. It is alleged that the deceased and the suspect were involved in a fight at an off-campus student accommodation in Strand Street in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape. The victim's body was found in his room. University spokesperson Zandile Mbabela says they have been in contact with the student's family and are providing the necessary support.
Preliminary information suggests that the student, who was in their third year of a national diploma in logistics, was found unresponsive at the residence known as Premier Student Accommodation. Matter is currently under police investigation, and the suspect has been taken into custody. We recognize that this tragedy may have deeply affected many within our community. And as such, counseling and other social support has been made available to affected students.
The South African Informal Traders Forum says it is disappointing that the city of Johannesburg keeps on requesting postponements in its legal battle with the Socio-Economic Rights Institute over a forcible removal of informal street traders from the CBD. The matter, which was supposed to be heard before the Johannesburg High Court today, has been postponed to Friday. The forum argues that the removal is a violation of the informal traders' right to trade, while the city cites it is enforcing bylaws. Brian Palo is the forum's general secretary.
No. How can they conduct a clean-up campaign and remove people who are trading legally so? Our members that we are representing in court, they didn't allocate themselves there. They were allocated by the city of Johannesburg. They've got a contract with the city of Johannesburg. They are paying rentals on a monthly basis to the city of Johannesburg. How can then, therefore, the mayor of the city of Johannesburg just wake up the other day and decide that he's going to stop people to survive without notification, without anything?
U.S. President Donald Trump has met with Japan's first female Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, in Tokyo. Takaichi, who was only elected last week, spoke of building a golden era for Japan's alliance with the United States. At yesterday's meeting, Trump told her she would be one of the great prime ministers. The BBC's Shaima Khalil reports.
It's a critical day for Japan, and for its new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, it's a defining early test of leadership. President Trump said Japan was a great ally, adding that he'll be there whenever needed. But he's also pushing hard on trade and security, leaving Tokyo very little room to maneuver. Mr. Trump wants more U.S. access to Japan's markets. Sanae Takaichi needs to protect domestic industries. Tokyo is heavily reliant on exports and can't afford a tariff fight. For now, the tone is friendly, but there is real pressure on Tokyo to deliver on agreements.
Recapping the top story, the AK-47 rifle that was found in possession of murder-accused Katiso Cathy Mohlahlana and warrant police officer Pulet Dow in Bramley after Vereeniging engineer Aband Swart was gunned down has been linked to the murders of DJ Somebody, DJ Vinters and Don Tinleni. I'm on Delambana for SFM News Alliance at 11:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
The Expresso Morning Show has been nominated in 5 categories in the 3rd Annual National Film and Television Awards South Africa.
It all happens on Saturday, the 22nd of November 2025 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. And public voting is open from the 13th of October to the 20th of November at midday.
So visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Expresso Morning Show in all 5 categories.
Then, of course, catch us weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. right here on S3.
Gordon Ramsay is back, and your favorite kitchen disasters are still somehow in business. New season, same confused chefs, terrifying walk-ins, and enough grease to fry your Wi-Fi. Watch as Gordon tries to fix the unfixable with nothing but sheer rage, British sarcasm, and an iron stomach. Kitchen Nightmares Season 8, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. on S3. Come for the food, stay for the emotional damage.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
doing the right thing just got more rewarding. From the 8th of October to the 31st of December, when you pay your SABC TV license, we'll say thank you with a 50 Rand grocery voucher and more. It's our way of celebrating you for helping us to keep local stories and talent alive. Pay, wait for your SMS, and follow the instructions to claim your reward. Make sure your contact details are up to date so we can send you your prize straight away. TV licenses, pay yours, make a difference.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, you're listening to The Talking Point. It's 9 after 11 o'clock. Welcome to the third hour of the show. So coming up in this hour, we are going to take you live to the ad hoc committee. This is in Parliament. This is where the Deputy Minister, Castle Matale, is going to be giving his evidence, starting off from now right through until 6 o'clock tonight. Is how long he's expected to be with parliamentarians. Of course, this will mark then just day one of his evidence, and you can expect that it will continue at least for the next couple of days, including, of course, giving MPs the opportunity to also field some questions to him. So on that note, then, let's take you live to that committee. The chair, Soviet Lekhanyane, already speaking. I think they've done part of the housekeeping and also some of the members that will not be part of today's session.
That have been made by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanasi. You have been invited to provide information to this ad hoc committee in relation to those allegations so as to help the committee on its oversight work and investigations. The allegations include amongst others, alleged unlawful disbandment of the political killings task team, otherwise known as the NPKTT or PKTT, alleged moratorium on the filling of vacancies within the South African Police Services, SAPS, and alleged corrupt relationship between leadership within SAPS and members of the public, as well as political interference in the work of the SAPS. In extending this invitation, the ad hoc committee chairperson has indicated that you may provide information to the committee if you so wish under oath in terms of the powers, privileges, and immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, and you will indicate whether you want to take oath or affirmation. We want to bring to your attention that, or we want you to be informed that by law you are required to answer questions fully and satisfactorily. And these are the questions which will be lawfully put to you. Or you may also produce any document that you are required to do so in connection with the subject matter of the inquiry, notwithstanding the fact that the answer or the document could incriminate you or expose you to criminal or civil proceedings or damages. However, you are protected in that evidence that you will be giving under oath or affirmation before the House or Committee of Parliament may not be used against you in any court or place outside Parliament except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required in these proceedings. And please be aware that in terms of Section 17.2 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, a person who willfully furnishes the House or a committee of Parliament with information or makes a statement before it which is false or misleading commits an offense and is liable to a fine or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years. Honorable Deputy Minister, you are required to take an oath and then you will indicate whether you are required to take an oath or affirmation and you will indicate which one do you elect. If you elect to take an oath, you will say, I swear that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth, and so help me God. And if you take affirmation, you shall say, I solemnly affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth, and so I do. Which one do you choose, Honorable Deputy Minister?
Oath.
You choose to take an oath. And then would you want me to read or you just say it?
You can lead, Chair.
Thank you so much. Let me read it in part. You will start by mentioning your names in full and say that I swear that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth.
I, Castle Charlie Matale, swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be truth,
The whole truth and nothing else but the truth.
the whole truth and nothing else but the truth.
And so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you so much. SC, I'm handing over to you.
Thank you, Honorable
So
Chairperson.
we shall run until 13 hours.
As you please. Thank you. And honorable members, good morning, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Morning, morning.
Every time I say honorable is a bit long, so when I say Deputy Minister, please, it's preceded by honorable. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you again for making yourself available and for your 110% cooperation with us in terms of preparing. Your willingness to serve before this committee and share your experiences are highly valued. You've been a deputy minister under former Minister Becky Cele and also more recently under Minister Mkhunu.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So given the terms of reference of this committee that you are familiar with, you can offer us some valuable insights into some of the challenges within the South African Police Service, as well as what some of the reasons are for some of those challenges, which we will discuss. And then also you've got some proposals to make for the committee in terms of the way forward on how to address some of these challenges and to what the remedial action to take place.
Yes.
So you're happy with that approach?
Yes, I am.
Now, if we may just start off, as indicated, you'd been a former deputy minister under Becky Cele from 2019 until June 2024.
Yes, correct.
The role that you played under Minister Kele. If you can I just take you to the that when you have these fancy watches, Honorable Chairs, apologies. At the back of your, there's an annexure, CCM1,
Yes.
which is dated the 2nd of August 2019. This is a delegation of powers for you as Deputy Minister. Can you just take us through that and discuss some of these aspects that's mentioned in the delegation?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much, and thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to appear before the committee. The delegated responsibilities that I was given by the Minister were one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you very much. I'm audible now. Okay. It was program one, which is administration for the South African Police Service. And the second delegation was being responsible for the civilian secretariat for the police. The third was Independent Police Investigative Directorate, referred to as IPID, and CIRA, PCIRA, Private Security Industry Registration of South Africa, and the entities of SAPS, your DNA board, your DPCI judge. Thank you.
So, does this mean the scope of your functions as Deputy Minister, is it confined or restricted to these aspects that's mentioned here, police administration, public entities coordination, establishment of the Detective Training Academy, educational rural safety programs, women and youth development programs?
Yeah.
Is it confined to that, or
No.
or do you also have a broader functions?
I had broader responsibilities beyond this, which have been stated here, and I will attend as from time to time as and when the minister will assign me other functions to do. For instance, we had a retreat where we took decisions that needed to improve SAPS, addressing a variety of issues, which I dealt with that, working together with General Ravi, who is head of the strategic division within SAPS.
So can I understand it this way, that in relation to these 5 delegated areas where you in fact stand in the shoes of the minister?
Yes, I was
He
acting.
delegated those powers to you, and you can take and make decisions, which obviously falls within the authority of the executive authority.
Absolutely.
But apart from that, you also interact with the minister on
Yes.
everything else.
Or on everything else. For instance, there are occasions where I will attend meetings that have got nothing to do with those responsibilities at the invitation of the minister. One of the meetings that I attended, for example, was a briefing in KZN. I think I went there twice, where we're discussing the political killings task team, for instance.
Okay. Can we just park that?
Yeah.
For a moment, so that we can just understand the role that you play. Just as a matter of interest, you haven't been you didn't receive any written delegated powers of authority from Minister Mkhunu, is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Is there a reason why? Do you know why?
I will attribute that to the fact that the minister came into the police department and he had to familiarize himself with the workings of the department, which is quite extensive and broad. And since he came in to date, we were engaged in that process, which took quite some time, given the complexities of policing. And I think that is the reason why there was a delay. But I think we were almost at the tail end of those familiarization processes. Unfortunately, we are here and we have not yet dealt with that specific responsibility.
Except that it's more than a year.
Yes.
Since you were appointed as a deputy to Minister Nkunu.
Yes.
And if you look at the date on this delegation of powers, it's dated the 2nd of August 2019. I think it's 3 or 4 months after your appointment in 2019 in May.
2019.
You were appointed as deputy minister under Minister Cele on the 29th of May.
2019, yes.
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 And in August, you received this delegation of power.
Yes, of course, it was quicker. I mean, we must understand we are talking of two individuals who have got different experiences. Minister Kelly was a former national commissioner of the South African Police, and prior to that, he has been working as an MEC responsible for transport and safety in KZN. So he has been working in the space. And when I came in, he was appointed in 2018 as Minister of Police. When I came in 2019, he was already in the space. So he was fairly familiar with the workings of SAPS. That's why it was easy for him to quickly delegate the responsibilities. And I think Minister Mkunu came in from water affairs, and he was in the public service and administration. So he didn't have the kind of exposure that Minister Kele had, and understandably so. He had to understand how the system works before he could say, these are your responsibilities, and these are responsibilities for the other deputy minister. So he had to familiarize himself with, and I think he, now as we speak, I think he knows what needs to be done and what needs not to be done with regard to delegation of powers. I can attribute the delays to that.
Would it be unreasonable to have expected you, as a deputy minister to Minister Mkunu, to be closer to Minister Mkunu, given his relative inexperience in the role? The reason I asked that is so that we could just understand the scope of which we can inquire from you what the issues are in the police and how close or not you were to some of these issues, especially the ones that gave rise to this honorable committee, which is the allegations made by Lieutenant General Mkunazi on the 6th of July. So if we can just maybe understand that.
Yeah. No, when Minister Mkunu was appointed into the space, one looked forward to working with him, given the fact that we know each other before he came into the ministry.
Are you comrades or associates?
He's a comrade of mine. He was a provincial secretary of KZN at some point, and I was provincial secretary of Limpopo, though he came later on when I was almost about to exit as a provincial secretary, and he became chair of KZN, and I was chair. So we fairly know each other politically. He's my comrade, and I was happy that he came into the space so we could start from where we last ended. And I did everything within my ability to be very helpful to him and the team. And it was not only me who was providing that support to him. I think he also had with him a legal advisor who is fairly exposed to law and to SAPS, even though he was not necessarily working in SAPS himself, Advocate Piccoli. And Gavin has been a police officer, so fairly within the ministry there was that support. But also the National Commissioner provided the necessary support to the minister. So he was surrounded by all the people that I can say knew what needs to be done, and they offered that support to him.
So also just to understand, you said that Mr. Kabinde was a police officer.
Yeah, I came to learn that he was a police officer, so he understands how police work. I presume he does have that understanding.
Do you know that he also worked in IPID?
I also learned about that, yes.
And we I think most of us know Advocate Piccoli. He had in a previous life been the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yes.
So in terms of the legal framework and so on, I suppose that was a help.
Yeah.
But can you just take us through, don't spend too much time on it, what kind of briefings did you engage in with the minister in terms of just understanding how SAPS worked? The minister was appointed in July 2024.
Yeah.
So say between July 2024 and the end of the year in December 2024.
Yeah. We normally what police will do is to prepare a handover, and for the new minister. So he got that briefings, but from my side, I briefed him about the Department of Police, which is SAPS, your Civilian Secretariat for Police, IPID, CIRA, DPCI, and the entities that are there. And that we have the commissioner, the deputies and the provincial commissioners who have been working fairly well with. And of course, I did say that we are not a perfect institution. There are challenges, but these are men and women that I believe we can make our own contribution to the fight against crime in the country. So those are the issues that I touched on in my briefings with him.
Yeah, perhaps I was asking more about some of these briefings that would have been structured, where you go to a meeting and presentations are made by various units and various sections within the police. Say for an obvious example on finance and how the budget works and how that's allocated and so on.
Yeah, thank you. We had briefings that deals with the respective divisions within SAPS. We'll have briefings on visible policing. We'll have briefings on finances. We'll have briefings on detectives. We'll have briefings on DPCI, the Hawks. We had briefings on the civilian secretariat, and briefings on IPID. Each of these briefings, for instance, those that had to do with policing, in the main, the person at the center of the briefings will be the National Commissioner. And the National Commissioner, depending on which division are we dealing with, he will then invite relevant people who are responsible for the division. For instance, if it's visible policing, it will be led by the National Commissioner, and in attendance, it will be the Deputy National Commissioner, Visible Policing, General Msikidi. And she will come with the divisional head, which is General Mamuteti in this regard. And the detectives will also have the similar approach, where you will have the National Commissioner and the Deputy National Commissioner Detectives, General Sbia, who will then come with his components to that briefing. If the briefing also involves the crime intelligence, the National Commissioner will come with General Sbia, the DNC, and the Divisional Commissioner, which is General Kumalo, who will then do the detailed briefings of that specific item. When we dealt with human resource development, it will be the National Commissioner, it will be the acting DNC of human resource, and then it will be the divisional commissioner who is responsible for that space. And in this instance, because the organizational design, for instance, falls within that department, that division, you will then have the study group that is responsible for organizational development, making a presentation on the structure of police. So we'll have those intense discussions, but all of them are led by the National Commissioner as the accounting officer.
And obviously during those briefings there'd be questions and answers and interaction, exchange of views and things like that. Now, what would be of particular interest would be the briefing on organizational design, the organizational structure, and so on. That is where you discuss the various components within the police and so on. Was there any specific focus on any of the dedicated task teams? We know within SEPs, and in fact you must confirm with us whether some of these task teams still exist, like for example child trafficking, abduction, mining, extortion. These are task teams that we know were established.
Yeah.
To your knowledge, do they still exist?
Yes, they do.
Now, those task teams, and of course, you know where I'm heading, political killings task team. If you discuss the organogram and the organizational structure, they wouldn't necessarily appear on the board or wherever the president. No.
Yeah. When a presentation was made on the organizational structure, we were discussing the structure in terms of what is there and what are the challenges that we are confronted with as a country, and we'll engage. And in the process of discussions with the officials, we then arrive at a determination, for instance, around the inspectorate, where we resolve that in terms of the structure and where we are, we need more men and women on the ground to fight crime. And we therefore resolved that we don't need to continue with the inspectorate, because the function that they perform is a function that the civilian secretariat they can easily perform that function, because they do visit police station to look at their operations and their functionality. So we then agreed to do away with that structure, and the personnel involved there is going to be placed in different responsibilities. And beside that, we looked at visible policing. We had a division of visible policing, and when we discussed it, we came to the conclusion that yes, it's a necessary function, but the way it is structured, we also need the capability to put boots on the ground to deal with crime, and therefore it will assist us greatly if we can separate visible policing and operational response, which were made one, and we then separated them. And we said, if we can structure ourselves in this way, we can become more effective in dealing with the problems or the challenges that we're confronted with. So broadly, that is how we discussed the new organizational structure, which was signed off, I think, this is somewhere this year, May. I'm not sure of the exact date, but it took a while to finalize, because you must consult with the unions and everybody concerned until you all agree this is the structure that you want to have.
Was there any discussion about integrating or reintegrating some of these task teams into, for example, murder and robbery? Because that is the one category component that you have.
Yes, we did talk of strengthening murder and robbery, because that's our biggest problem. You have many people who gets killed in the country. One which it creating a lot of problems, like the killing of traditional leaders. The House of Traditional Leaders have had engagement with us around that matter. So, and it's that and the killings that are taking place in the country, the Cape Flats, we have been here, communities are complaining about that. So we felt we must strengthen murder and robbery unit so that we can become effective in terms of the investigative capacity of our detectives around murder-related crime in the country.
Can you recall when you discussed organizational design, organizational structure, and would the political killings task team, would that have been specifically highlighted? Would it have been specifically mentioned, or was it just mentioned in passing?
Well, it might have been mentioned in passing because we didn't in the organizational structure discuss political killings because it's a task team that was established to deal with a specific problem. Here we're talking about a structure that must define policing in the country.
So just in relation to the political killings task team, you were appointed in May 2019.
Yeah.
And you probably know by now that the interministerial committee was established by the president in May 2018. So just over a year later, you become a deputy minister. When was your first experience of the political task team? What do they do? How do they operate? Who's in command, etc.?
When I first became part of a meeting, it was somewhere in KZN where a meeting was convened, and I was so sorry.
Maybe put the mic up.
Yeah.
Then you can sit a bit back.
I was invited to a meeting in KZN where a briefing was done by the political killings task team. The interministerial committee of this team was taken mainly from the JCPS cluster ministers. The Minister of Justice and the Minister of Police were part of this ministerial committee, and they below them were the operatives, where you had detectives and the prosecution authority comprising this team, which one might call a multidisciplinary team, and it also included the DPCI in that. So that was the team and how it was composed. The interministerial committee was the one that was politically responsible for the team in the sixth administration.
Would you, these interministerial committee meetings, they weren't frequent. They would be at most twice a year.
Yeah, no, they were not frequent.
Yeah. Would you attend these meetings?
I have attended 2 of them that I can recall, yes.
In your capacity as a deputy, or do you actually stand in for the minister?
I went in with the minister per his invitation, and of course, if the meeting is convened in his absence, then he will ask that I should attend. But what I recall are 2 meetings that I attended with him.
And at these meetings and the ones that you attended, you'd get a briefing from the political killings task team.
Yes, the operatives will be there and they will brief us about the work that they are doing.
Is that where you know Lieutenant General Mkhonazi and Lieutenant General Khumalo? I think maybe at the time he would have been a brigadier general.
Well, Lieutenant General Mkhonazi, I've known him before I went to attend the meeting of the PKTT. Yes, Khumalo, I met him for the first time there when I went to KZN, and there was a briefing and he was in attendance.
And what was your experience of them briefing you and telling you what they're doing, whether they're achieving any success?
Well, the effectiveness of the team is not in question. They did an excellent job. Since they were instituted, there was progress around killings of activists, what one might call political killings that took place. There were progress. In fact, the effectiveness has never been an issue that was questioned within the space.
And when you said it was never in question, it never rose at all in your discussions with former Minister Cele?
No. That question was never asked.
Beyond question.
Yeah, they were doing their job, and I believe they were doing a good job.
Okay. We know from former Minister Cele that the last briefing to the IMC, the Interministerial Committee, was in March of 2024. Was that before the elections?
Yeah.
So, did you attend that one?
Yes, I did in KZN, yeah, at the Provincial Commissioner's Office.
Okay. And there was, did it follow the same format? There's a presentation to the IMC, and there's questions, I suppose, questions, answers, and so on. And what was your feeling when you left that meeting, as far as the political killing stars team is concerned?
Well, the meeting went well, and I didn't get an impression that there are problems around the team. I think everybody was happy with what was presented and what they were doing.
Okay. So, just to continue along that narrative, since it's also our focus, then we have the elections, and Minister Mkhunu is appointed, and Minister Kele is disappointed. But we know, of course, why was he's given an explanation why he wasn't appointed. He was too low on the list or something like that. But what was your reaction to the appointment of Minister Mkhunu?
Well, as I said earlier on, I was happy that he has been appointed minister, and that I was appointed deputy minister, and I was grateful that somehow the universe was aligned, that even though I have lost General Kele, whom by then we were working extremely well together, but I was given somebody else that I knew and that I've worked with, and I believed that we were going to make a good team.
Did Minister Mkhunu have any specific discussions with you and or Deputy Minister Boshielo in relation to the political task team between July 2024 and December 2024?
Well, we have had. You come again with the question, Senior Counsel?
Did Minister Mkhunu have any specific discussions with you or meetings with you and or Deputy Minister Boshielo in relation to the political killings task team between July 2024 and December 2024?
Yeah. Okay. No. I thought you were having a conversation. We have had discussions around the structure and the need for us to handle things in such a manner that we strengthen our capacities, so that you don't have to create task teams to deal with specific challenges, because we will have developed that capability within the police to deal with the challenges that we are confronted with. And it is in this context that the issues that we discussed around the PKTT took place.
In Minister Mkhunu says that you can you recall having a meeting specifically with Minister Mkhunu in November of 2024?
Yes, I might not. We have had many meetings with him. So
Well, I'm talking about the task team.
that's why I said we did discuss the task team as we were discussing the problems that the structure and how we think the structure must be structured and how we must strengthen certain units like murder and robbery so that we are able to address the problems of murder in the country, because the political killings task team, it's a team that came as a result of the murder that was taking place amongst, which are politically related. That's why it was called political killings task team, but it is murder. And there was also the problem of the killing of traditional leaders, which is not political. It is murder as well, and killing of ordinary South Africans because either it's a robbery or gang-related matters, which is murder. And the rate at which we resolve these crimes is worrisome. Hence, the need to strengthen the unit that deals with murder and robbery so that we are able to resolve any murder that takes place in the country. And in that context, then the issues of the task team like political killings came into the discussion.
Minister Mkhunu says in his statement at paragraph 84, and I think we have made these statements available to you and your lawyers. On the 21st of November, I convened a meeting with the deputy ministers of police to discuss the various allegations against and other identified challenges within the SAPS. A decision was taken at that meeting that I would meet with Lieutenant General Mohlahlana to raise these concerns and engage with him on the same.
Yeah, we have had discussions and we have agreed on various occasions that there are issues that the minister should engage with the national commissioner and process them so that by the time they come to us, they will have processed those issues. In some instances, it was a meeting with the Minister of Police in the absence of the National Commissioner. And in other instances where the issue of the two of them interfacing, they were both present. In the presence of the Minister and the National Commissioner, I have said so on more than one occasion that the Minister and the National Commissioner must process things. There are certain things that the two of them must process before they come and discuss with us, because it does not assist for us to go into a meeting sometimes with other deputy national commissioners and divisional commissioners. We discuss issues that they should have found each other on before coming to engage with us. So yeah, there are many instances where we have had meetings and agreed that the two of them must, from time to have engagement outside ourselves, because the absence of that will lead to misunderstandings amongst them, which can create a problem for us. And we are here now, I think, because of that.
But I don't hear you say, and I certainly can't recall hearing Minister Mkhunu say that those meetings, those engagements focus specifically on the political killings task team.
Yes, we have had a meeting where specifically we discussed that. I'm not disputing that.
Because he then goes on to say that on the 22nd of November, he met with General Mohlahlana, with the deputy ministers, that's yourself, Lieutenant General Sabia, and all the provincial commissioners present. But he says the purpose of the meeting was also to discuss the ministry's deep concerns about the elevated murder rate, the escalation of firearms, including illegal firearms, drugs, and GBV plus F issues.
Yeah, correct. We have had that, such a meeting.
At these meetings that you held in these briefings, did the minister at any stage give an indication that he's either not happy with the task team or that he intended to have it disestablished?
Yeah, he did raise that matter, that it must be de-established, and we had discussions around that.
When would that have been?
I can't recall the exact date.
Now, you know by now that the minister issued his directive on the 31st of December 2024. What was when did you first learn about the directive?
On the social, we learned about it, unfortunately.
What was your reaction when you saw on social media that he had directed that the political killings task team be disbanded?
Well, as I said, I first dismissed it because it was odd for me to say something like that. And when he confirmed it himself, that he wrote it, and we must not be surprised. I didn't understand what could have motivated him to pen such a letter in the manner in which he did.
When did you first see the full text of the letter?
I'm not sure of the exact date, but yeah, I saw the full text. It was early January though, still, and I read it, and I had a problem because the way it was written, it was very difficult to comprehend how that is going to be realized, the content of the letter, because it was saying that the PKTT is disbanded with immediate effect, and that a close-up report must be submitted or a plan by 20 January, and then a close-up report by the end of the month. It was not practical to do those things.
So how would one describe your reaction to seeing this directive? Shocked, surprised?
It was unusual.
Baffled?
It was unusual. And I mean, it was not exciting. It was just problematic. Yeah.
You because you also saw, and there's been I don't know if you want to add your interpretation to the word immediately. You saw that in the letter.
Yeah, I saw that in the letter.
And I think you may have said that you found that to be
I've said it's
problematic.
Yeah, if something is immediate, is immediate. And it is disbanded. It is disbanded, and then I need reports on this and that date. That closes this unit. It was problematic.
Now you had worked with the minister for at least half the year, from July to December, and you've also known him in another capacity
Yeah.
as a political ally, comrade. When you saw the text or read the text of the letter, what was your sense? What was your impression? Is this the way he communicates? Is this the way he writes?
Look, it was very difficult to really put my thoughts together as to what was happening to him to craft the letter in the manner in which he did, and at the time that he did, it's I don't know what was going through his mind and the circumstances that he was in when he penned the when he penned the letter. It's yeah. I don't know. Of course, he has said so to you here that he was seated at home and maybe the environment was such that he could apply his mind and pen that letter. But I don't know what he was going through, because a strong letter is not a light letter.
Would it be correct to say he didn't consult with you?
Of course, he didn't consult. The only time that he spoke to me, it was after the letter was out, and he was saying, "Yes, I've penned the letter. Don't be surprised."
Did you ask him what the reasons were, what informed the letter, what his motivations were?
I didn't question whether it's right for him to write a letter like that, because when an executive authority makes a decision and pens it down so that there's no misinterpretation of the decision, he has made a stand. He took a stand and communicated that stand.
What was your, or what is your understanding between the divide between policy and operations? And you've been a deputy minister for a long time. You're familiar with sections 206 and 207 of the Constitution. You're familiar with the provisions in the Police Act, which prescribes the role, the various roles of the minister, the national commissioner, divisional commissioners. This is a directive disbanding an operational unit, task team within the police. Could the minister do that?
The minister can communicate his views. Whether he's legally correct or wrong, I might not be able to interpret that, but he can communicate his directives in writing, and it's upon the recipient to receive and respond to that. And I think the National Commissioner responded in a manner that the immediate part of it was not operationalized, because we are all aware that the committee, the task team is still there. Yeah.
So how soon into the new year did the minister discuss this with you? This is now after he's issued the directive.
I might not recall the exact date, but I mean, when we met and discussed, we discussed this issue way beyond January. When that January has come and gone, and the KTT has not been disbanded. But like I said earlier, that there were discussions around this. For instance, I remember a discussion where the issue of General Khumalo came into being, that as we are strengthening crime intelligence, it will be appropriate that he focus on crime intelligence, and probably the National Commissioner look at getting somebody who can full-time attend to the PKTT.
Yeah, you do mention, and you'll see at paragraph 54 of your statement, that the discussions you did have with the minister seem to be more about the head of crime intelligence now also heading the PKTT.
Yeah, because that was the case. Even now, because that decision has not been made, that is still the case. But one was of the view that if we were to be true to what we are saying, it will be appropriate that Lieutenant General Khumalo be allowed to pay special attention to crime intelligence, because he is responsible for that. And we get some senior officer, either a major general, to take up the responsibility of heading the political killing task team. Because even Khumalo, by the time he was heading it, he was a major general before he became a head of CI.
But there was never any talk of disbanding or disestablishing the task team.
Well, the earlier discussions that came, that the unit must be done away with, there was a discussion around that. There was, because we were saying let's strengthen murder and robbery, and all murder-related cases be dealt with by the murder and robbery unit.
But you can't remember when that discussion took place. Was
No,
that before the directive?
Before the letter, yes. Before the letter.
So let me come back to then what was your reaction when you saw the directive?
The letter?
Yes.
No, the letter. I'm saying that the letter came as a surprise to me, particularly the immediate disbandment of the unit and the dates that were set there. That to me was a problem, because the people who can be able to say we think we can close up this through this particular process are the operatives themselves out of an engagement.
Were you aware of the fact that the people in charge of the operations of the PKTT, General Mkwenazi and Lieutenant General Khumalo, that they had not been consulted about the disestablishment of the task team?
Well, because the discussions we were having with the National Commissioner for that decision to ultimately be implemented, it will necessarily need the engagement of all the role players.
Yeah. But don't you think that the minister should have consulted with them? They're the people directly involved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that the ultimate dissolution will have to take place after interacting with all the relevant role players. And this includes them.
the task team itself, was there any doubt in your mind that this task team was operating legally within the prescripts of SAPS, within an allocated budget, and falling under the authority of the National Commissioner, ultimately?
Yeah. I never doubted that.
Did the minister ever mention to you or indicate to you or give you any idea that actually this political task team is not operating legally?
Yeah. Well, you know, the discussions around this, it was not based on the legality of the unit or not, because that was never in question. I don't remember a meeting where we discussed that the team is illegal or something like that. That never arose.
Were you at the January the 8th ANC celebrations in, I think it was in Cape Town?
Yeah, I was.
In Khayelitsha?
Yes.
Did you discuss this directive with the minister at that gathering, or maybe even with former Minister Cele at that gathering?
No, at the gathering, the minister was not present.
Did you discuss it with the president?
No.
Did the minister tell you that he discussed it with the president?
Well, he might have discussed with the president, because in our engagement, we did say the minister must take the president into confidence on the things that he intends to do. So he must discuss with the president. Whether he discussed with the president or not, I don't know, because I was not in attendance.
Subsequent to the directive, and after you had sight of it or heard about it, read about it on social media, did you discuss the directive with the National Commissioner or any of the deputy commissioners, or with Lieutenant General Kunazi or Kumalo?
No, with General Kwanaze and Kumalo, no, but with the National Commissioner, in the meetings that he was in, we did discuss it, but not outside those meetings.
And as you were discussing it, what was your sense of whether this directive, which required the immediate disestablishment of the task team, where was this now going?
The immediate it was not happening, because, as I said to you, I mean, if up to now the task team exists, so the crafting of the letter, it just made it difficult to implement what was in there, because it's not possible. Once something is immediate, in the day-to-day use of immediate, is immediate.
Okay. And the other aspects of this directive, that the National Commissioner must have a report ready on the 20th of January. Did you know whether that was done or not?
There are things that didn't happen because of that. For instance, the issues around filling up of posts didn't didn't happen, which had what one can say a negative impact on the strengthening of the crime intelligence that we're engaged in.
So you weren't privy to the report which the National Commissioner gave to the Minister. I think it was on the 22nd of January.
On the close-up report.
Yes.
Well, most of the reports the National Commissioner and the Minister discussed them in our presence, but I'm not sure which a specific report you are referring to.
Yeah. Do you meet with the Minister once these reports are submitted to him and copied to you? Do you discuss them?
Normally, when there are briefings, they will make copies available, and we will then discuss them depending on the sensitivity of the documents. We will then hand them over, but if they are not sensitive, we keep them.
Now, on the 5th of March,